All right, let's jump straight into it. Today in this explainer, we are unpacking what industry analysts are calling the AI churn wave. Look, if you've been following the software space in 2026, you already know we're completely past the hype phase. Adding artificial intelligence to a product? It's no longer a golden ticket. In fact, for a lot of companies, it's becoming a massive liability. So, we're going to break down exactly why that's happening, and more importantly, we're going over the concrete blueprint you actually need to survive it.
48%. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. That is the terrifying median net revenue retention, or NRR, that's currently being reported for AI-native apps. It completely shatters this illusion that simply slapping an AI feature onto your software is going to guarantee business success. In reality, a massive wave of churn is wiping out companies that lack true foundational value.
When you stack that grim 48% up against traditional business models, the bleeding is just obvious. Think about it. Top quartile B2B SaaS companies, they're holding a massive 120% plus net revenue retention. Even standard traditional SaaS is sitting pretty securely above 100%. But down at the bottom, AI native apps have a gross revenue retention, meaning retention before you even count upsells, of literally just 40%. The sheer scale of this customer exodus is exactly why we need to completely rethink our approach to building these tools.
Section 1. The false AI moat. Okay, so think back to traditional software architecture. It relied on three very distinct layers: data management, a rigid business logic layer, and the user interface. But with agentic AI, it's almost like the brain of your software is migrating. The traditional business logic layer doesn't just get a nice little upgrade, it gets swallowed up entirely by the AI orchestration layer. The fundamental architecture of these older systems is literally being made obsolete from the inside out. So what does this actually mean in the real world? Well, Research Affiliates projects that AI agents could replace 35% of point product SaaS tools by 2030. 35%! If your product is essentially just a wide, shallow feature set, an AI agent is going to learn how to do it, and it's going to do it faster and a lot cheaper. Let's be real, AI without deep embedded orchestration simply is not going to survive the decade.
And this brings us to what's known as the AI tourist problem. When we break down retention by pricing tiers, products priced under $50 a month have a devastatingly low 32% retention rate. These are experimental budgets. People try the tool out, they get bored, and they hit cancel. But on the flip side, enterprise tools charging over $250 a month, they're holding a really respectable 85% retention. The takeaway here is that deeply integrated mission-critical tools actually survive. Cheap novelty tools absolutely do not.
Pillar 1. Deepening the vertical moat.
To actually build that deep vertical moat, you need what's called workflow orchestration. This isn't optional anymore. It's the critical control plane. It's the execution layer that allows an AI system to run reliably, safely, and continuously under real enterprise load. Orchestration is the exact piece of the puzzle that turns a flashy, viral AI demo into a robust, production-ready platform that a business can actually depend on, day in and day out. So how are the heavy hitters actually pulling this off? They're rapidly rebuilding their core infrastructure, and here are the rapid-fire steps they're taking right now. First, monolith to modular refactors. They're breaking giant, clunky systems into flexible, manageable parts. Second, they're standardizing APIs. Third, they're moving to event-driven architectures. And fourth, they are heavily investing in observability and fault tolerance so they can see exactly when and where things break. In 2026, boring, durable infrastructure absolutely beats sheer feature velocity. Because if your AI breaks under load, your customer is gone. Period.
Pillar 2. Data sovereignty.
Listen, your proprietary data assets, they are now the single most important metric of your company's durability. To stay relevant, you have to transition to usage-based data APIs. You need to embed clean, AI-ready datasets directly into your platform, and you have to aggregate intelligence that is specific to your industry. In short, your data platform can't just be an afterthought sitting in the basement anymore. It must be treated as a VIP, a true first-class citizen and a core monetizable product in its own right.
Pillar 3. Redesigning AI monetization.
Okay, we really need to talk about pricing, because traditional software practically lived in a zero marginal cost reality. You sold a standard per-seat subscription, and an extra user cost you virtually nothing to serve. But AI-era monetization is a completely different ballgame. Every single time a user prompts an AI, you incur real marginal costs per inference. If you're still using standard per-seat pricing today, heavy users will literally bankrupt you by draining your compute resources. It's a massive structural revenue headwind.
To offset those heavy compute costs, viable business models are totally shifting gears. We're talking about moving to usage-based monetization tied directly to inference. It means rolling out credit-based wallets with real-time tracking, and really the absolute gold standard right now is moving toward outcome-aligned pricing, meaning you're charging for the value or the completed workflow you delivered rather than just charging for access to a seat.
The solopreneur pivot.
Enter vibe coding. This is literally the great equalizer of 2026. This allows pretty much anyone to build complex applications and automations simply by describing what they want in natural language. The AI does the heavy lifting and writes the code. It completely eliminates the need for massive, expensive development teams, which empowers solo founders to spin up hyper-specific vertical solutions incredibly fast.
And the scale here is just mind-blowing. 25 million. By 2026, projections show there will be up to 25 to 30 million solopreneurs operating in the US alone. Armed with tools like vibe coding and AI agents, these agile solo operators are now stepping up and competing directly with traditional tech firms in niche markets. Think about it. They have super low overhead, absolutely zero technical debt, and they move lightning fast.
The 2026 Survival Guide.
All right, so if you are building in this ecosystem right now, here is your definitive action plan. First, you absolutely must build native AI architecture. Ditch those shallow GPT wrappers, they won't last. Second, secure your proprietary data. That is your unreproducible moat. Nobody can copy your unique data. Third, shift away from per-seat subscriptions and embrace that outcome-based pricing we talked about. Fourth, deploy AI-driven early risk detection to intelligently support your customers. That alone can cut churn by 2 to 3%. And finally, focus on deep workflow integration rather than just trying to roll out a massive breadth of shallow features. So I want to leave you with a tough question. Ask yourself right now, is your pricing a sustainable moat, or is it just propped up by the AI hype cycle? The companies that are going to thrive over the coming years are the ones whose operations, data, and pricing models are actually built for reality, not just for a flashy demo. So what's your strategy going to be? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and we will see you next time.